Right, and good morning sa ating lahat. So, this will be the discussion for part 2, chapter 2 rather, part 1. So, this is a three-part discussion for chapter 2. So, anyways, this this is pre-recorded on uh, August 3, 2026. And this will be facilitated in our classes on August 4, 5, 6 to 7. So by the way, this is we'll be having an asynchronous meeting and you have to watch this video at any point of the week kahit anong time niyo man gusto, pero I prefer na panoorin niyo siya sa time natin when it comes to um, absorbing the learning for this one. So the discussion for today move throughout will be the data modeling and design. So data modeling and design part 1. And this presentation is created by Sir Cedric. So last time we discussed all about the competencies about the data management. So more on, diniscuss lang natin that is what is data management, para saan ba siya, ano nga ba usually yung mga binabantayan niya, what are the programs, policies, procedures, and the practices that needed to create or to fully utilize a data management role. Ngayon, we will be discussing the learning objectives specifically for the data modeling and design. So, noong una, ano yung mga ways kung paano natin mababantay yung data? Ngayon, ano yung mga ways kung paano natin siya shape or mamomodel? That is for the data modeling and design. So, by the end of the discussion, here will be the learning objectives that everybody will have. By the end of this chapter, the students should be able to, number one, discuss the familiarity with a plan for data modeling, build a data model, review the data models, demonstrate the use of data models, maintain the data models, explain best practices in the database design, explain data model governance, and finally, hindi pa pala, enumerate and explain the data model and design quality management, and enumerate and explain the data modeling metrics. So, we will be focusing first on the DAMA DMBOK, the DAMA wheel we have here. So, the first part of the data management will be the data modeling and design. So, sinabi ko last time na data governance is hindi nyo kailangan i-apply sila lahat in one place. Hindi. Katulad ng pagkain natin sa pizza, di ba sinasabi ko last time na possible na kainin siya initially o isa-isa. Okay? So let's have the definition first of what is a data modeling. So data modeling is a process of discovering, analyzing, and scoping data requirements and presenting and communicating these data requirements in a precise form called the data model. Okay? Pen tayo dito. Data model. Data modeling is critical components of data management. So before we actually manage the data, we tend to know first what is ano yung minamanage muna natin in the first place. So, data modeling is a process kung saan sinishape natin at ina-analyze natin yung isang data into a better form. Okay? So, process of discovering and analyzing, then doon tayo magbibigay ng mga scope data requirements. Then, mas maganda kasing intindihin mo muna yung data bago mo siya i-handle. Kunyari, meron kasing data 1, data 2, data 3. Hindi mo alam pala yung scope niya hanggang 2 lang. Pero lahat sila i-handle mo. Then, that will consume much of your time, much of your effort, rather than efficiently handling them one by one. Okay? Process of Then we will try to move. So data modeling is how do we create, how do we process, discover, and analyze. Then we create the data requirements. So as long as we know how to process, how to analyze, and saan yung hangganan ng data requirements, then that will be the time to know kung paano nga ba nila nire-representa yung data at paano sila nakikipag-communicate with other data models. Okay? So there are six most commonly used schemes here, which is relational, dimensional, object oriented, fact-based, time-based, and NoSQL. So, the discussion for this morning is dito na muna tayo sa relational. Then, yung mga schemes na to, paano mo nga ba i-relate yung data 1 kay data 2? Related ba sila using relationship? Or related ba sila using dimensional? They are object-oriented, they are fact-based, they are time-based, or it is no SQL at all. Then, models of these schemes exist in three levels of detail. Possible na kilala nila yung isa't isa using conceptual siguro, kilala nila using logical or using physical. So the discussion for this is on chapter 2 and chapter 1 here, then the rest will be chapter 2 na. Then, may mga components yung ating data modeling. Ito yung mga kailangan natin maintindihan mamaya, later on. Ano nga ba yung tinatawag natin na entities? Ano nga ba yung mga relationship? Ano yung mga facts? And ano yung mga keys and attributes? So, let's move. So, data models are critical to effective data management because they provide common vocabulary around the data. So, picture out this. Sa isang company, may mga ginagamit, tayo like client, like buyer, like customer. Okay? So, sa isang company, tatlo yung ginagamit nilang term. Buyer, customer, client. Okay? Sa data modeling, these are different kinds of entity. Tama? These are different kind of entity. Ngayon, paano natin ma-shape yung data model natin kung meron silang iba't ibang identities? So, ang data modeling first is gusto niya magkaroon ng tinatawag na common vocabulary. Gusto natin magkaroon tayo ng unified vocabulary sa different terms na to para hindi tayo nagkakandal gulo-gulo when we try to find the specific table of these datas. So, for example, si buyer, customer, client, pwede natin siyang just sabihin natin as buyer. Kasi nire-refer lang naman niya yung someone na nag-a-avail ng service. Tama? So, that is what we call providing a common vocabulary on data. Para hindi tayo gulo-gulo. For example, isa pa, teacher, instructor, professor. So, yan. Iba-iba din yan. Pero technically, they are unified in a single term. Pwede natin sabihin na educator, meron pa, student, learner, student, children. Yan. Then, pwede natin siyang unified as a learner. Parang single vocabulary around the data. Hindi natin siya dapat pinapadami kung pwede naman pala siyang tawagin in a single entity. Then, capture and document explicit knowledge about the organization's data and system. So, ang purpose ng data models is to um, determine kung ano nga ba yung mga purpose ng mga entities na to. Ano yung purpose ni buyer? Ano yung purpose ni educator? Ano yung purpose ni learner? So, capture and document explicit knowledge about the organization's data and system. So, may mga roles kasi itong mga to sa system. For example, enrollment system. May role si educator at merong role si learner. Pag sa system na yon is hindi clearly defined kung ano yung kayang gawin ni learner at kayang gawin ni educator, then the capturing and the documenting of those data are nearly not helpful or hindi siya efficient sa pag-help ng pagbi-build ng tinatawag natin na explicit knowledge. Mahirap tayong mag-document or hindi natin alam kung ano yung purpose nila, not unless it is documented. Hindi naman natin pwedeng i-assume na sa educator, hindi naman mag-aaral yan eh. May possibility na sa educator can be a learner. But a learner cannot be an educator. Okay? Parang ganun. So, we must capture and document explicit knowledge. Then, serve as a primary communication tool during projects, yes. parang kasama niya din dito kasi ito, provide common vocabulary, pero explain na din natin. Say for example, si registrar. Okay, si registrar tsaka si CCS. They both access the learner at the educator account. Ngayon, isipin mo na wala siyang common vocabulary. So, sabi ni registrar, si children, hindi ko naman nakikita si children dyan sa database ng CCS. Eh, yung ginagamit pala ni children is not the children code, but the student number. So, serve as a primary communication tool during projects, they tend to communicate to one another. Kasi nga, they share common vocabulary. Alam nila kung ano yung pinag-uusapan nila, hindi sila nalilito or naliligaw. Then, lastly, provide the starting point for customization, integration, or even replacement of an application. So, isipin na lang natin, for example, sa student portal natin. Student portal natin, even our faculty portals are there. Okay? Now, parang kasublong naman niya tong number 2. May mga developers tayo ngayon, hindi natin maiiwasan na the developers will leave TSU. And hindi naman natin sila kailangang habulin para explain yung code, explain yung database, and explain the system. Now, if it is properly documented, okay, possible tayo na mabilis na lang yung ating starting point sa pag-customize, pag-integrate ng bagong system, or pagpalit ng bagong application. Kasi nga, it is properly documented, meron siyang captured explicit knowledge, hindi na nangangapa yung mga bagong developers. Hindi naman namin ito dinevelop. Tsaka wala kami nakitang documentation ng current system nyo, so i-develop kami ng bago na sayang sa oras. Kung documented yon, naintindihan nila kung paano gumagana yung system, instead na gumawa sila ng bago na system na katulad ng luma, they just integrate that old one to the new one. Or, kunin lahat nila yung data, kakunin lahat nila ng scope ng nasa luma since alam naman nila yung documentation, adapt, then finally replace. That's it for the data models effective management of data. Dapat, one, alam nila yung common vocabulary. By that, they serve as uh, primary communication tool during projects. Then, capture data document explicit knowledge. Then, finally, if this is properly documented, madali na lang silang mag-customize kung kailangan na itong i-customize o integrate, mag-add sila ng bago, or even entirely replace the application. Then we have here the goals and principles of data modeling and design will be the formalization. So a data model documents a concise definition of data structures and relationship. So sabi ko nga doon sa kanina, it should be properly documented. Okay? It is formalized. It enables assessment of how data is affected by implemented business rules for current as states or desired target states. Say for example, meron ka dito, this is the old system and you are actually integrating a new system, old and new. Okay? Si formalization yung magbabanggit kung yung new system ba is applicable dun sa old. Sabi dito, it enables assessment of how data is affected by implemented business rules. Yung old rules ba is hindi siya conflicting dun sa new rules, or the old data is hindi siya conflicting dun sa new data. That is the primary form or the primary goal of the formatization. Okay? Then, scope definition, ngayon, sabi dito, a data model can explain the boundaries of data context and implementation of purchase application, projects, initiatives, or existing system. Katulad lang din dito, if we know that it is formalized, alam natin din kung hanggang saan lang yung kaya ng system. Alam natin yung scope and definition niya. Okay? Now, if we try to push something sa bago na alam naman natin na naka-scope or may limitation na siya when it comes to the scope definition, then we must not apply that. Kasi nga, magkakaroon lang tayo ng major conflicts. So, sabi dito, a data model can help explain the boundaries of the data context and implementation. Then, knowledge and retention documentation, again, parang same lang din dito sa last term natin or sa second bullet. A data model can be preserve the company memory, preserve the corporate memory regarding a system or project by capturing the knowledge in an explicit form. For example, sabi niya doon, si student pwedeng mag-teach. Ay, pwede pala yun. Pwede pala siya mag-teach. Now, if that new system or that new data set na si student can teach is conflicting doon sa old rules na student cannot teach, then that will be a conflict. Masisira na siya doon sa under scope and definition tsaka wala siyang retention. Kung walang retention, possible na ma-affect ito, si scope and definition. If the formalization is not prepared or not acknowledged, then questionable din yung kay scope definition. Hindi niya alam kung saan yung boundaries ng ating data. So, ganun pa din siya. Nagkakaroon siya ng major conflict. So, nakita nyo, na even if we transcribe from old to new, meron pa tayong mga ganito. It should be formalized. Meron siyang scope definition and it should retain the knowledge and the documentation. Then, what are the difference between data modeling, model, and data model? Data modeling is the verb or it is the action word wherein we perform, or specifically sa system design, we perform step-by-step processes known as the system development lifecycle. Madami tayong examples niyan. Actually, didiscuss ko to sa 65, pero nasa 66 na kayo. Anyways, magre-recall na lang tayo ng few system development lifecycle methodologies. Kung familiar kayo sa RAD, sa Rapid Application Development, sa Agile, kung familiar kayo sa Agile at sa Waterfall. So these are an examples of system development lifecycle and they too do data modeling. They data model from the collection, the prototyping, the implementation and whatnot, testing and deployment, they try to data model there. And a model is a representation of something that exists or a pattern. So model is a clear depiction kung ano yung something na kailangan nating gawin. So for example, dito sa mga methodologies na to, we are trying to create a system and we use an agile methodology. The model says that on week 1, we must do this. On week 2, we must do that. Then lastly, the data model describes the organization's data as the organizations understand it. Ngayon, more on sa data model na tayo, how can we redirect data? Paano natin siya mamomold? O sabi dito, or as the organizations want it to be. Data model contains sets of symbol with text and labels. Possible siya na meron siya tinatawag na mga artifacts and usually try to represent data requirements as communicated to the data modeler. For a specific set of data that can be ranged in size from small for a project to a large for an organization. So, data model, let's say it's a fragmentation of data. Paano gagamitin ni accounting itong data na to? Paano niya ipapasa to kay, let's say, HR? So, that is data modeling. So, meron pang isa na I want to add, pero parang medyo ano siya, DFDD or the Fundamental Database, the decomposition diagram, uh, uh, decomposition diagram. Oh, tama. Functional decomposition diagram is an example of a data model. So it is a diagram and paano yung data related to one another. So that is a data model. Then here is the types that data are modeled. So meron tayong apat and we will try to more simplify it na lang for you to easy grasp. So category information, ito yung mga tinatawag natin na pwede natin siyang i-classify and assign to them. For example, the Met. We know how the Met is. Yan, the t-shirt. So the t-shirt can be classified, the data of the t-shirt can be classified into three different info. Number one, that will be small, medium, large. Sa kape, meron tayong small, medium, large, 1, 2, 3. So those are category information. We can actually distinctly categorize them. Okay? Pero they still points to a single item. Pwede lang natin siya paghiwa-hiwalayan. Si shirt 1 is small, si shirt 2 is large, si shirt 3 is medium. They are pointing to a single shirt, pero we can categorize them based on their sizes. Then resource information, these are the basic profiles or of the resources needed to conduct operational processes. For example, sa isang school, ano kaya yung mga tinatawag natin na resource information? Okay. Sa school, ano yung mga tinatawag natin na resource information? School has school. Okay? Ano kaya? Pwedeng teacher, pwedeng student, pwedeng utilities, pwedeng um, devices, pwedeng ano ba, yung nakita natin sa school, rooms, ano pa, rooms, teachers, ano pa ba? Something na magde-describe doon sa kabuuan ng school. The resource information, ito yung bumubuo or this is the resource information ng isang school. Okay? So pag sinabi ko na verbatimly uh, food, waiter, table. So those are resource information ng isang fast food chain or ng isang restaurant. So sabi dito, basic profiles of resources needed to conduct an operational processes such as the product, customer, supplier, facility, organization, and account. So anything that describes a business or an organization is what we call the resource information. Now, what is the business event information? Ito naman. So for example, bumili ako ng punta ako sa grocery, bumili ako. Ngayon, saka lang ako magkakaroon ng business event information pag nabili ko na. Okay? Pag nabili ko na yung isang bagay. So for example, doon ko malalaman, 'di ba meron akong list here. Doon ko malalaman na bumili ako ng um, itlog, tuyo, langgonisa, um, pangalan ko, address, kung sino yung nag-help sa akin, address ng store. So, ito yung mga information na to ito yung, kumbaga, after mo ginawa yung isang action, na-create mo tong mga information na to. Okay? So, kunyari, sa enrollment, okay? Nagpa-enroll ka. Na-create yung COR. COR has your name, your age, your subject, your teachers, and magkano yung babayaran. So, nakita niyo yun? Saka lang magkakaroon ng information kapag ginawa mo na yung certain action or natapos mo na yung certain operational process. Okay? That is the business event information. Ngayon, ano naman po yung detailed transaction information? So basically, same lang din siya kay business, pag na-create mo ang business information, automatic din nakikreate yung tinatawag natin na detailed transaction information. So, differentiate natin ha. After ma-create ng business information, lalabas lang dyan is name, subject, teacher, and payment. Pero kay detailed transaction information, hindi lang verbatimly name yung lalabas diyan. It is Axel, CC1, CC2, CC3, uh, Sir Quino Pineda, Ma'am Rain Munoz, Ma'am Mylene Espino. Then, payment 1, 7,000. Payment 2, 7,000. Total payment 8,000. Si detailed transaction information, mas detailed siya. Okay? Again, i-compare natin to ha. Pag yung action, ginawa ko na siya. Nag-create yung isang information. Ang information na to, meron lang siyang pangalan, subject, teacher, payment. Pero when it comes kay detailed transaction information, hindi lang siya ganyan na broad. Mas detailed yung sinasabi niya. Pero once na ginawa ko yung action, yung name dito, lumabas Axel Millet. CC1, CC2, CC3, teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3. Then payment 1, payment 2. That is detailed or mas detailed siya na informations. Information. So that is the four ways on how we data model. Pwede natin siya i-data model based on their category, the differences, then pwede natin siya i-detail using resource information, pwedeng business event, and pwede bilang detail transaction information. So for example, sabi ko, uh, cup, cup, table, coffee, uh, bread, ganun. So that is a resource information of a cafe. Pero pag sinabi ko cafe receipt with name, cafe type, payment, that is under business event information. When it comes, pag sinabi kong cafe latte, less sugar, 20 pesos. 20 pesos, cash standard, 100, um, change, 80, those are under detailed information. Pero pag sinabi kong cafe, small, medium, large, those are under category information. So nakita niyo yun, pwede natin siyang bulat-latin based on the how do data are modeled. Pwede nyo siyang gamitin lahat, pwedeng isa-isa muna at its molecular level, pero anyways, that is how we model our data. Then, papasok na tayo yung tinatawag natin ng mga entities. Ayan na. One concept ng data modeling is the term entity. Entity is the thing about which an organization collects information. So, sa isang organization, parang si entity, let's sabihin ko na to, yung mga resource information is an example of an entity. Okay? Entity. Ano yung entity sa isang school? Ito na. Ano yung mga entity sa isang school? Possible teacher, student, course, specialization, room. Ang dami nating pwedeng tawaging entity sa isang school. Okay, status, pwedeng regular, S means status. Pero pwede naman siya dito siguro sa S na students. Status, regular, ganun. So, an entity is a thing about which an organization collects information. Entities are sometimes referred to as noun, as the noun of an organization. Noun. Kumbaga, yun yung mga binabanggit or yun yung mga gustong bantayan ng isang organization. Okay? So, possible na who, what, when, where, why, how, and sometimes the measurement. Measurement, pwede yung sales, item count, payments, balance. So, that is an entity. So, sa how, pwedeng invoice, contract, agreement, confirmation. Sa who, ano yung information ng mga who, employee, patient, player, suspect, customer, ano yung what, product, service, raw materials, anything na pwede mag-define or dapat bantayan ng isang organization is what we call an entity. An entity can be taught as an answer of the fundamental questions, the 5 WH question, who, where, when, why, and how, and what pala. Who, where, when, what, who, where, when, what, and why, and how. So, uh, two an or both combination of those questions. So, here we have entity aliases. So, we have the entity alias and entity instance and entity type. So we have here entity name Jane. So the entity is Jane. The entity type is employee. Then the entity instance is still Jane. Okay? So pwede daw siya na the most common type is entity dash type as type of something that's being represented. So si Jane ay isang employee. Pero si employee ay never na magiging si Jane. So si Jane ay isang employee. Pero si employee is never na laging si Jane. Ganon siya. That is the entity aliases. So, this is the entity instance and this is the entity type. So, other pangalan sa system, tawag sa kanya is employee. Pero in its molecular level, the entity instance should be Jane para mas what? Para mas what? Mas specific. Then, the entity has a graphic representation of square. Dapat meron daw palang mga round edges. Pero meron bang round edge to? Somehow, meron. Pero yun nga, entities are depicted in a square, a rectangle with circle edges. Then, ito na. Meron tayong mga tinatawag na relationship aliases. Alright? So, meron tayo dito, in relational schemes, o since relational scheme naman itong dinidiscuss natin ngayon, there are the term relationship. Pero pag yung NoSQL na tayo, wala na siyang tinatawag na mga relationship. Meron lang siya tinatawag na mga edge or link. Pero since SQL muna tayo, SQL yung i-discuss natin, meron tayong tinatawag na relational schemes. So let me explain. Student attend attend to a course. A course is taught or teach by an instructor. An instructor teach a course and a course is attended by a student. Okay? Nakita niyo yan? May relationship si student entity kay course entity. Si course entity may relationship siya kay instructor entity. Okay? So, there's that. Student, attend, ito yung relationship eh. Ito yung nang-bridge. Ito yung kumbaga connection ni student to a course entity. So, student attends course. And course is teach by an instructor. Imposible naman na walang instructor sa isang course. Hindi pwede yun. Student attends a course and the course is taught by an instructor. Okay? So this is what we call relationship aliases. Okay? Para mas better natin malaman kung anong relationship ng dalawang to. Okay? Pwede tayong gumawa ng sa pang relationship dito. Rad, ito. An instructor, papatayin ko ng isa pang ano. Pwede to. An instructor facilitates. Ayun. Facilitate. Student. Student is facilitated by instructor. Ganon. Okay? Then we have the term cardinality. So, si cardinality, isipin na lang natin, ito yung rule. Ito yung tinatawag natin na rule. Sa isang relationship. Ay, naon, may rule sa isang relationship. So, sabi dito, in a relationship between two entities, cardinality captures how many of one entity participates in a relationship with how many or of the other entity. So, for example, ito yung ating rules. Isang single line lang sa isa. So, sabi dito, 1, 2, 1. And line. So, a student is enrolled to a single specialization. Okay? Pwede wari na WMA ka tapos CS ka, hindi. So, the relationship of the student and the course entity is 1 to 1. Okay? 1 to 1. So, meron tayong 1 to many. A student, gawin ko na to, the student entity can enroll to multiple subjects. Okay. So, meron kayo nakita dito na dash means it is mandatory. Si singles, ang isang student, okay, is um, dapat merong isang student na madaming subject. Siyempre, pag walang student, okay, pag wala yung one dyan, that will be walang nag-enroll. Parang something like that. One to many. Or example, isa pa. A teacher to many students. Dapat, may isang teacher para maturuan niya yung madaming students. One to many. Required dapat na may isa at madami. So, paano sir, pag one, tapos merong ganyan dito? Required na yung isang entity, isa lang din yung relationship niya doon sa isa. Okay, for example, sa isang relationship, let's say relationship talaga natin. Yung boy entity should be in love with a girl entity na meron siyang mandatory na isa lang. That is mandatory one-to-one. This is mandatory one to many. Okay? So, dapat merong isa para sa madami. Itong isa sa madami. So, paano sir pag merong ganyan? Yung isa, required na madami. Required na madami. Merong isang required na isa, na required din siya na madami yung turuan niya. Pero dito, wala. So, hindi siya required na madami siyang turuan. So, does that mean, sir, pag tinanggal ko yung required dito, yung mandatory, mag-apply lang doon sa boy? Yes. Ang rule ni boy is isa lang dapat yung uh, girl na dapat niyang nasa relationship. Pero dito, since walang rule set si G, pwedeng isa lang to. Isa lang. Okay? Pero wala namang siya sinabi ding many, kaya hindi siya inoobliga na meron. Ito kasi inoobliga na meron siya. Ito inoobliga din siya na may isa, pero madami. Pero hindi naman siya inoobliga na madami yung kanyang i-cater. So, ito madami, tapos isa. Required na madami, tapos isa, one or more. Ito, one and only one. Okay? So, ito, one, required one, at isa lang. One is to one. Then, ito, zero or none. Okay? Or optional siya. Pwedeng meron, pwedeng wala. So, zero or one. Pwedeng meron or pwedeng wala. So, ito, pwedeng madami or pwede ring wala. So, pag may O na ganon, it is optional. Pag may line na ganon, that is mandatory. Then, here is the cardinality represented by symbols that appear on the both end of the relationship. Data rules are specified and enforced through cardinality. Without cardinality, the most one can say about relationship is the two entities are connected in some way. So, tignan nga natin kung tama itong ating cardinality symbol dito. Ang rule niya is uh, each student may attend one or many courses. One or many courses. Each course may be attended by one or many students. So, ano yung symbol na to? Many or zero or many. So, possible ba na walang mag-attend sa isang course? Or wala bang, um, pwede bang ang course na possible na wala siyang student? So, this could be, or this should be, what? It's either, this could be mandatory many. Siyempre, hindi mo na mabubuksan ng isang course pag wala kang student. So, kahit ito, pwede siyang many student and many courses. So, required many, madami dapat student para mabuksan ang isang course. Ang isang course ay nagre-record ng madaming student para madaming cater. A student attends to multiple courses and multiple courses is attended by multiple students. Something like that. So, yung zero doon, nawala natin ng 1 para we can make it mandatory. Okay? Then, we have the arity of relationship. So, we have the unary, binary, and the ternary relationship. So, start muna tayo dito kay unary relationship. So, parang nire-refer niya dito yung sarili niya na meron tayong, for example, meron tayong example here. This is B1, B2, B3, B4, and B5. Okay. So, si B1, meron siyang employee B2 and B3, B4, and B5. Ang relationship nito is that a boss has at least one boss. Okay? So, this is B, tama? B, meron siyang at least one boss. Okay? B, one boss. B, one boss. B, one boss. And B, one boss. It is a recursive relationship. Nire-refer niya yung relationship niya sa sarili niya na a boss can have a single boss. Okay? Pero pag baliktad to, sa ano tayo sa employee, an employee can have many employees din. So, si employee lang naman si B1 dito, mayroon siyang 2 employee. Si B2 employee din siya, mayroon naman siyang 2 employee. Something like that. Okay? Then, we have here the binary relationship. Ayan. Ito yung pinaka-usually ginagamit natin is the binary relationship. Yung kanina is an example of binary relationship. The arity of 2 is also known as binary. And binary relationship, which is the most common on traditional data model diagram, involves two entities. A student is attended, a student attends to a course. Is a course is attended by a student. So may nakita tayong line dito. Anong ruling natin dito sa line? That is what? Single. Pero dito kasi gumamit tayo ng UML. So, this is not cardinality ha, pag UML to. Pero pag ginlagyan ko siya ng ganyan, this is cardinality na. So, better check kung may ganun siyang mga cardinalities. So, shows that both student course are entities and participating in the binary relationship. So, meron siyang binary relationship. A student attend to a course and a course is attended by a student. The number of entities are still the RT. Then finally, we have the ternary relationship. A student enrolled to a semester. And a semester has many courses open. Known as ternary, it's a relationship that includes three entities. An example in it's the fact-based modeling or the object role notation appears in here, figure 35. Here, the student can register for a particular course. A student can enroll to a particular course and course is given in a semester. And student is enrolled to a certain semester. So, meron siyang tinatawag na ternary relationship. Semester, course. A course is in a semester, there are multiple courses opened and a course is attended by a student. And a student is enrolled to a course and student is enrolled for a specific semester. A semester has multiple students. In a semester there are multiple students, and a semester there are open courses. So this is the ternary relationship between the three of them. So this is also what we call the ito na yung tinatawag natin na foreign key. Medyo nagiging tayo dito, nagiging more technical na tayo. Doon sa tinatawag na foreign key. So this is a UML. This is the Unified Modeling Language. So you will try to do this. And this is what we call the entity name, and entity name. This is what we call the cardinality. This is what we call the cardinality. And this is what we call the relationship aliases. And this is what we call the relationship aliases. Okay. So, ang UML, it defines what an entity have. The entity student has student name, first name, last name, birthday. Kung doon tayo magbabase sa my PHP admin, si student is the table name. Itong mga nasa baba is what we call the column names. Table name, and these are what we call the column names. Then, table name, column name, table name, column name. Okay. Ngayon, in order for us to create, sabi ko kanina doon sa tinatawag natin na business-driven, or ano kasi yun, I forgot na yung term na yun. Yung saka lang tayo magkakaroon ng registration pag si student is nagpa-register na. Balikan natin mamaya yun. Okay? So, let's have this. Sa student registration, meron tayong mga tinatawag na mga FK, and dito meron tayong tinatawag na PK, and PK. So, instead na doon sa registration table na yon, isusulat ko lahat ng first name, last name, imagine nyo to ha. Ano yung itsura niya pag ganito yung form natin? Ito yung registration for example. Then sinulat ko dito, student name, last name, birth date, then course code, then registration date. So, medyo madami, matrabaho. Tama. Goods siya, pero we are dealing to multiple students here. So, hindi kaya yung ganitong structure. Ngayon, instead na isusulat natin siya verbatimly, gagamit tayo ng tinatawag na foreign key. Ano yun, sir? Yung student number dito, which is primary key sa loob ng student table, is ginamit siya dito as foreign key. So, for example, sinabi ko 2022, hahanapin ni registration table yon doon kay student table at automatic niya na maa-access yung laman ng student table if gagamit tayo ng foreign key. Okay? Ganon din kay course code. Hanapin niyo yung course code na CC5 doon sa course code table para may access siya doon sa course name. That is what we call relationship. That is what we call foreign keys or the foreign key. So, it is used in a physical and sometimes logical relational data modeling schemes to represent a relationship. A foreign key may be created implicitly when a relationship is defined between two entities. Okay? Sa registration, instead na isulat mo siya, para ano lang siya para siyang pointer na, yung sa registration na 'to, ito yung impormasyon ng isang estudyante. Instead na sabihin ko lahat, ito yung kanyang student number, hanapin mo na lang siya doon sa table na yon. Kung sino yung nag-match, ito yung pangalan niya. Gano'n siya. Foreign key, 'tong course ko dito foreign key siya. So kung sino yung may course code na CC5, ayun yung pangalan niya. Hanapin mo siya dito sa course code na table, i-match mo siya, at malalaman mo yung pangalan ng course name. So, what if gagawin ko to ng foreign, gagawin ko to ng primary key. So, regnum for example to. Madaming regnum 2274, 2284. So, kung sino yung regnum na may 2284, bubuksan niya tong information na to. Para siyang, alam niyo yun, yung para siyang nagkakascade na info na instead na isulat niya minsanan lahat dyan sa isang registration form, ini-squeeze niya na ito na lang ibigay ko sa'yo, tapos kung kailangan mo pa siyang expound, ito yung table, i-match mo siya sa student number, tapos saka mo ma-access yung mga information na yun. Para mas mabilis siya at mas ma-efficient. Then we have the attributes here. So UML pala to, medyo advanced na tayo. We have a student entity and student has this attributes. Sir, bakit hiwalay po yung nasa baba at nasa taas po itong something na to? Saka natin malalaman if yung isang information, isang PK or for primary key if it is unique or wala siyang kamukha na other data. For example, ito, student, student table. Okay? So, ganito yung tsura niya sa database. Shuk, 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 shuk. Then, studnum. 2026 to 4, 2026 to 1, 2026, 6 to 1. So, instead na sabihin natin to lahat, huhugutin natin yung data nito. So for example, tinype ko 2026 for 262. Hanapin nyo na ni database student table yung may ganyang primary key. This is PK eh. Then these are the attributes. Then kung sino yung nahanap niya, yung mga attributes lang ng primary key na yun yung i-return niya. Hindi yung mga nandun sa hindi niya nahanap. That is what we call the graphic representation nung ating attributes. Saka lang natin siya ihihiwalay pag yung nasa taas is sure natin na unique at yung nasa baba is what we call the attributes. May mga certain rules set tayo dyan kung paano tayo pumili ng mga tinatawag natin na identifier. Yung nasa taas dito, yung nandito, it is our identifier. Identifier. Kaya dapat nakahiwalay siya doon sa mga attributes. So, attribute din naman tong identifier na to, pero dapat it should be unique. Then we have the identifier called the key is a set of one or more attributes that uniquely, ayan o, uniquely identifies an instance or an entity. It could be simple, compound, composite, surrogate, and such as function. Pwede rin siyang candidate, primary, and alternative. Simple key, one attribute is that uniquely identifies an entity instance, for example, universal product codes or vehicle identification number. So, si simple key is something na unique sa kanya. Now, sir, surrogate key, if pinagsama na natin yung mga simple na yon, compound, two or more, and composite is one compound key. So, meron ako ditong dalawang table na school A and school B. Table of school A and table of school B. This is what we call the possible na grade table to. Then, Taylor, grade din to. Pero tignan nyo, hindi sila parehas ng registration number schemes. Tama? Hindi sila parehas. Now, para madali ko na lang mahanap yan, instead na number, registration number yung gagawin kong primary key, gagamit ako ng surrogate key. Yung surrogate key na yon can accommodate multiple and different registration numbers. Sir, pwede ko pa rin mo bang gamitin to as my primary key? Hindi na kasi nga naka-merge na sila. Ang primary key muna ngayon is si Swerna. Pero, sir, since unique pa din naman po si registration number, pwede ko pa rin po siyang gamitin ba, sir? Actually, yes. That can be called as the candidate key. Is a minimal set of one or more attributes that identifies the entity instance to which it belongs. Possible din siya na super key and business key naman if professional would use it. Ito yung pinaka last will be the chosen to be the unique identifier of an entity. So, the unique identifier dito sa surrogate na to is the surrogate key or also known as the primary key ng table na to. Then, alternative can be used as specific entity of instances since if hindi mo daw siya pinili as primary key, it could be a candidate key or it can be a, what do you call that? Alternative. Basta, the idea here is, if you are locating data sa isang database, let's say, this is the database, and you are locating the data of, for example, a student. Instead na hanapin mo Carlo Ramirez, hindi mo siya pwedeng gamitin as keys. Bakit? Possible na meron kang pangalan na Carlo Ramirez or Juan de la Cruz. So, para hindi mo ma-hit yung ganong problema, kunin mo yung unique na information na dalawang yun. Wala, Juan de la Cruz. Meron ka na naman isang Juan de la Cruz doon. So, ano yung next mong pwedeng hagilapin? Possible na driver's license. So, LC2, LC2. So, this can be your candidate key or hindi siya pwedeng maging primary key kasi primary key, it should be on column 1. So, it can be a candidate key. For example, hindi mo alam yung primary key nung GD na yon sa isang system. Hindi mo alam, for example, yung school ID niya. School ID ko, for example, yung primary key niya, hindi mo alam. Pero alam mo yung kanyang driver's license number. Dito ka magbabase sa candidate key. Then we have dependent and independent entity. Katulad din ng sinabi ko kanina, hindi mag-exist si registration pag walang student at walang course. So means, independent entity, si student, pwede siya mabuhay na hindi mag-register. Pwede mabuhay si course nang hindi siya nang walang registration. Pero si registration, hindi siya mabubuhay pag walang course at pag walang estudyante. So means registration is an example of a dependent entity. It could be possible na isa lang siya dependent, at least one attribute, or multiple attributes siya naka-connect. So what kind of relationship is this? Is it binary, unary, or tertiary? The answer is binary. Sir, bakit? Binary. Binary. Pag sinabi kasing ganito yung itsura niya, pag binago natin yung itsura niya, ganito, tapos may ganyan dyan, tapos may ganito dito. Parang ganyan siya. This is what we call the ternary. Pero since ganito lang yung itsura, ganito lang yung kanyang connection, that is what we call a binary connection. So this is an example of what I am talking kanina. So start muna tayo dito sa residence account. Instead na isulat ko lahat to, magbibigay na lang ako ng foreign key na magre-redirect ng information na yon dito sa residence account doon kay request certificate. So ayun si resident ID at isa siyang foreign key. Clinic ko to, i-redirect niya ako doon sa residence account para ma-access ko tong information na ito. Next. So, andun na lahat yan. Then, requested certificate has a uh, primary key. Sa table of transaction, isa siyang foreign key. So, foreign key din si resident ID. Kukunin niya din doon sa, no, parang ganyan. Para siyang nanghuhugot-hugot. Sabihin ko na ha, if kailangan nyo yung data ng isang table sa isa pang table, automatic yung primary key ng table na to magiging foreign key sa table na yan. Kasi why? Huhugutin niya yung nawala. Huhugutin niya tong information na to sa ibang table. For example, nawala yung naka-pen. This is the table for residence account. And gusto mong gamitin yung resident account ID sa ibang table. So, since sa resident account ID, yung ID dito is a primary key, magiging foreign key na siya doon sa ibang table. Foreign key means you are giving access to request certificate to access the residence account table. Sabihin, hagdan siya. Ganon din dito. Sa table transaction, since kailangan ko ng request certificate information sa table transactions, bibigay ko tong data ko dito, my primary key, and magiging foreign key siya doon. Same as kay foreign key number 2. Okay? Foreign key na rin si resident ID dito. Si transaction ID dito, isa siyang foreign key. Kasi nga, generate PDF, kailangan niya ng data doon sa table transaction. Parang ganun, tahid-tahid lang. Then, these are the data modeling and design concept. Number 1 will be domain. Sa domain na to, isipin nyo na lang, it is a library. Okay, sa domain na gender, meron lang 2 gender, M or F. Okay? So, if the domain introduces new gender, like transsexual, for example, ano ba yan? Basta yon T, for example, T. If wala siya sa domain na yon, the data T is invalid. Katulad din sa sa Boolean. Ang domain ng Boolean is true or false. Pag may nakita silang information na hindi true or false, or the term maybe, that will be an error for the domain. Since domain has a data type, for example, yung domain nyo, nag-accept lang ng 1, 2, 3, 4 hanggang 7. Tapos nilagyan mo siya ng letter C. Then that is an error of the domain. And meron siyang data format at meron siyang data list. Yung domain, again, it is a set of rules. For example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Pag yung data na, let's say, hiring table, nakakonect siya dito kay hire date table at meron siya sinulat doon na let's say, ito, PK nito, PK for example to, PK. PK niya is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And doon sa FK dito, is sinulat niya 6. May 6 ba sa domain? No. Pag wala, that is an error. That is the issues of the data model. Ayun pala, ito pala siya. Meron siyang range, values of the same data type. Pag sinulat niya dito, sa FK dito, instead na 6, sinabi niyang Z. And, pero alam mo naman dito yung primary key niya is not Z, then that is an error with the range. Then, domains defined by the rules and must comply in order it to be valid. Ay, tapos na. So I guess that's it for the part 1. And I'll be uploading the PowerPoint alongside with it. So you'll just wait for the part 2 to be uploaded once I finish it. So, ayun. Have a nice day and watch nyo to kasi kailangan nyo to for your next activity. Your next activity will be talking about UML, then relationship aliases, then the cardinality. So, yun lang. And I'll see you when I see you.